everybody. Welcome to Silent Podcast, place where everything but silent. I'm your host, Isaiah, and we are back for our first exit interview this season, postseason, with the winner of Big Brother 25, Jag. Jag, what's going on, man?
How's it going, man? Happy to be here.
Awesome. We just want to say congratulations, of course, of your awesome win and everything. And I'm sure this is just a whole lot. So, how you feeling, man? Like, have you seen anything outside of the house in general that like you've been like surprised about in the world or in the game in general?
Uh, Honestly, like the thing, like leaving the house, uh, I'm so grateful for all of like overwhelmingly positive support that I've gotten from people. Like that has been such a great part about leaving the house too. And also, I'm just excited to like see my family, see my friends, see my loved ones. Like that's what's been going on in their lives. Like those have been like the biggest surprises for me, and like the best part about like talking to them again and catching up on what went on in the last 100 days in their lives.
Awesome. Yeah, you were in there forever. This was a long season. So congrats on making it all the way to the end, making history. We're we're psyched to be talking to you today. My question for you, Jag, is when do you feel like in the game, obviously we saw in the beginning you were super close with Blue. She was your number one ally. When do you feel like that shifted toward being closer to Matt in the game? And when did you really solidify that to the point where you were willing to take him to the final two?
Yeah, I think Matt and I were close since the beginning of the game. I was close with Blue as well, and we formed a Minuteman alliance after he saved me. During
Mhm.
week 4, and at that point, like I knew that I was going to go to the very end with him, and I was already close with him before. I mean, that's why he even used the power to save me. He wouldn't just randomly use it unless we were close already. But yeah, I knew at that point, like he was the person I wanted to stay loyal to.
Awesome.
So basically, when did you and Bowie kind of like get super close? Obviously, we like saw you and Matt kind of like bring her in as like the third. When did you guys like kind of decide to put her in that spot?
Yeah, I think Bowie and I got very close at the end of the game, and as the game progressed, I got closer and closer with Bowie. I wasn't working with her at the beginning, and then she was blindsided, and then uh, it was all aired out, like all the alliances, and so there's a lot that led up to that. And we started working together. The more time I spent with her, the more I realized like this is someone that I really, really want to work with and go far with. And it was during her HOH actually that Matt, Bowie, and I, sat in the HOH room and we solidified that we were going to be the three, and that we were going to go after anyone that goes after us. And after that, I mean, you all saw what happened after that.
We did. So we have a couple of questions around your closer to the end game, maybe starting with the invisible HOH. You might have been asked this question already, but I'm curious, with the invisible HOH, we've only seen this a few times. What made you decide to tell everybody that you were in the invisible HOH rather than keep that a secret so you could kind of use it to make, I mean, eventually it led to a pretty big move, but what made you decide to kind of air that out to start?
Yeah. So I got invisible HOH, and my target that week was Blue.
Mhm.
Um, and everybody in the house suspected that I was invisible HOH or that Corey was. And I knew that the moment Blue touches the block, Corey and America are gonna know that I'm the invisible HOH anyway, because they know that they are not.
Mhm.
And so telling Corey and America wasn't like it. I had to tell them because if I didn't, I would burn that bridge. I would weaken the trust that we have. And so when I decided Blue was going on the block, that the other side of that decision was made, which is I have to tell Corey in America. Blue just happened to win the veto that week, and that's something I didn't know would happen. And at that point, I knew I just had to make the move that I had to make, and the next target for me was just Corey, and so Corey in America ended up on the block.
So towards the end of the game, obviously, we saw you and Bowie kind of speaking about like, Matt might have to go before the finale and everything, and eventually, you guys decide not to do it. We didn't actually get to see the conversation you guys had on feeds because like it went down and it came back. You guys were like, all right, let's keep him. Like, what was that conversation like that kind of made you guys change your mind?
Um, for me, it wasn't a conversation with Bowie that changed my mind at all. It was more so the internal dialogue I was having. And because I knew it was a big decision, and ultimately, and I talked about this in the house as well, in my speech when I evicted Bowie as well. Like, I wanted to make the decision that felt right to me, and I had chosen Matt as the person I was going to be loyal to uh, until the very end, regardless of what that looks like with the votes and the jury. And I wanted to make a decision that I could look back on years down the road and hold my head up high and be proud of who I am and be proud of my character and the decisions I made, and hopefully make my family proud and my community proud and my loved ones and everyone who supports me, make them proud of that decision too. And so I just didn't have the heart to go against Matt at all, and I knew that morally for me, it was wrong. It felt wrong, and so I just wasn't going to do that.
Cool. Thanks. Throughout the game, I mean, you were in power for almost the entire second half of the game. It felt like as a viewer, which is super impressive. And it felt like, you were really driving a lot of the decisions that were made. And when you, at least from a viewer's perspective, from the feeds, decided to target someone, it almost seemed like you wanted to villainize that person, like kind of in your head. At least that's the way it seemed to us. Like, was that something that you were conscious of doing? And was that to make it easier to evict those people? Or it almost seemed like you were like Blue, as an example, you were close with her. And then it seemed like when she was ready to go, you were kind of like talking about her behind her back. Corey, same thing. Felicia and Suri, same thing. Was that something that you were kind of aware of, and was that just to kind of like soften that for you? Or was that something that you was kind of like a subconscious thing?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's not something that I was intentionally trying to like villainize anyone at any point, and that's something definitely like I'm someone who keeps game and personal very, very separate. And on a personal level, I did like don't think of anyone as a villain or as a bad person. Like,
Mm-hmm.
everyone is so great, and I'm such good friends with all of them. It was purely a game moves.
Yeah.
Like, I knew Blue had to go. I knew Corey had to go. I knew like at some point everyone had to go if it meant me being at the end. And so it was purely that. And at no point, do I want to villainize any of them. So yeah.
Cool.
So obviously you're one of the winners now, right? So everybody's gonna have haters. Everyone's gonna have like super diehard fans. To those, certain people, anywhere. Like some people are like, Jag's like the only winner to like be voted out, come back and win. And so like, he can't be like top, or like he has to be at the bottom. How do you feel about that? Do you think that's like valid, or do you think like, maybe like what's your thoughts about all this officially as one of the winners now?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think like if you see my journey in the house, something that was important to that is every week I was in a better and better position. And that was important to my gameplay and my strategy. And I got evicted 10-0. I'm not going to pretend like that didn't happen. And the fact that I was able to still make it that far, while I had such a big target on my back every single week after week, people wanted me out. I think that speaks to something. But ultimately, like, look, people are going to think what they think, and they're open. Like, that's fine. Like, if people don't think that I deserve to win, that is fine. That's their opinion, and like, and that's cool. You know what I mean? I know there are people that might have had other people that they wanted to win, and that's also very fair because I think even as I was sitting next to Matt, like, he was very deserving of the win as well. Like, he played an incredible social game, and had he won after I chose to sit next to him, I would be so supportive of him and so loving of that, and so happy for him as well. So at no point is there any like, oh man, like, I knew it had to be me and it could only be me and I would be mad if it wasn't me. Like, I think there are a lot of people that were deserving of the win.
And real quick, were you actually aware while you were in the house that you broke the comp record? Did they ever let you know that?
I did not know that at all. I didn't know
Okay.
about vetoes. I didn't know about comps. Like, I was literally in the house just fighting for my life to like protect my allies, protect myself, and winning the comp, like breaking the comp record, was just like a byproduct of the game I played, which is like play hard, protect your people, play hard, protect your people, like week after week. So I found out like after I was outside the house, and that was like super cool. Like, I was excited to find out because obviously like I'm a competitor, and
Yeah.
that's such a cool like accolade to have now. Like, that's just like the cherry on top.
Awesome. I think we might have time for one more question. Toward the end of the game, we did see, you, Matt, and Bowie thinking about maybe isolating Felicia a little bit or calling Felicia and Suri bullies. I know we only have a minute or two left, but are you able to just shed some light around like why that strategy came to be and where you felt like the bullying took place?
Yeah, so I mean, the first part of that, like, they're not bullies at all. I don't want anyone to think that they are bullies. Like, they are such wonderful people. And I'm someone, again, I separate game and personal. On a personal level, I love everybody. And everyone's such a great person. It was more so on a game level that, especially early in the game, I felt like I was being excluded from certain conversations, and that was more so where the context to that conversation came from. And of course, that's a game. I understand that
Totally.
because you can't be aligned with everyone and work. You know what I mean? Like, eventually, someone has to go. So that was that part of it. And in terms of like isolating Felicia and all of that, like, that's not something that I was ever going to actually do, and I don't think Matt and Bowie were ever actually going to do, and I wasn't going to allow that to happen. And Felicia actually had a conversation with me in the house where she brought up like feeling sort of
Mhm.
excluded, and that, like, on a personal level, like, I never want anyone to feel that way. And I had that conversation with her as well, which is like, look, that has never been my intent, and I will honor the impact that it had on you, and I apologize for that. Like, because I never want somebody in the house to feel as though they can't talk to me or they can't be in certain rooms or whatever that puts them, the mental space it puts them in, because I want to be like so positive with everyone and so welcoming. So after that conversation with Felicia, I chatted with Matt and Bowie as well and told them like, hey, this is how Felicia is feeling, and we all need to step up and do better, and include her as much as possible and hold ourselves accountable as well. So yeah, that was an important piece of that too.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. I wanted to give you a chance to kind of clear that up because I know there's some questions
Yeah.
about that out there.
All right, but I think that's the end of our time, Jack. So obviously, thank you so much for coming. Love to speak to you anytime in the future, whenever you're doing stuff like this again. But again, congratulations on your win, man.
Congrats,
All right.
Jag. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Take care.